Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Thanks for joining me for another crafty venture. Today you can see we're doing something a little bit different. It is a craft room storage unit makeover. So I bought these 3 little units from scrapbook.com. I'm really happy with them, but I just wanted to zhuzh them up a little bit. So that was what I started with. This is what I have now. So before we jump right in, I want to apologize for the sound. I know it sounds kind of muffly, tinny, echoey, all those things. I'm not sure what's going on, but I've redone the voiceover on this a dozen times, literally, and it is what it is. So we're going to jump right in. You can see that I have all the drawers pulled out of each unit. There are 4 drawers per unit, and I just wanted, like I said, to zhuzh them up a little bit. So I decided that I'm going to take all the drawers and add just essentially some pattern paper. So each unit has 1 drawer that's compartmentalized, and then the other 3 drawers are just open like this. So I did not measure out the the compartmentalized drawers, not for the video, but the open drawers are about 1 inch high by 4 inches deep by 12 inches wide. Not quite 12 inches, but pretty close. And I had that stack of pattern paper trying to decide what I wanted to do, but this one wins because it incorporates the pink and coral and gray of my new storage cabinet, as well as the black and white for the rest of my room. So this one won, and I'm really happy with the end result. So here's the twist that actually got me going. Is I love these little glass knobs from Hobby Lobby, and I decided that I wanted to turn the drawers around so that where the finger pull is actually the back, and the back becomes my front. So I have trimmed down my selected pattern paper, which it was hard to decide because that book has some pretties, had some really pretties in it. But I've trimmed these down to just under 1 inch, and then in terms of length I just trimmed them so that they would cover the front because it's not quite 12 inches, and the paper pad was, I believe, 6 by 4. So anyway, just took a little bit of trimming, and I add some Mod Podge to the drawer front, to the back of the paper, and then once I place the paper on the drawer front, then I put more Mod Podge down over that to seal it in. So I do that on all 12 drawers, and I use 4 different papers per unit, but they're all the same once the units get put together. If you'll reflect back in your memory to those opening photos, it showed, essentially repeating patterns of the paper, and it'll make more sense again when you get to see it at the end. So just finishing up with adding the papers to the front, or what will become my front. And I'm not worried about seams or about lining patterns up perfectly, because just like with card making, it's the background. You're not going to necessarily see those details unless you have a super keen eagle eye. And even if you do, it's probably not going to be bothersome. It's not bothersome to me. I do see them, but it doesn't bother me a bit. So I have just done all 12 drawer fronts, and now I am moving on to the insides of the drawer. Again, there's going to be some overlapping because my papers aren't 12 inches long. So I chose some papers from the 4x6 paper pad, but I also have a black and white paper pad called Midnight Chic, I believe, and I just used some of those patterns as well. So that particular paper pad is really thin. It's just a layering weight, so there's some wrinkling. You could see the wrinkling, but when I use the pattern paper, it's more of a cardstock weight. I don't know the weight. It's at least 80, if not 100 pound. It's pretty sturdy. So this didn't have the wrinkling and the buckling once the adhesive, the thinned down Mod Podge was added to it. It was able, because it's heavy body, it was able to hold its shape. So, but again, I'm not worried about the wrinkling. I'm not worried about the buckling, seams, overlapping, any of that. Because just like a background of a card, it affects the overall composition, yes, but you're not necessarily looking at that. You're not looking at the details, the potential imperfections in that. So I am just putting down my paper in a way that pleases me, in a way that works for the tools and the measuring capabilities that I do or do not have. And I'm just keeping in mind that once the drawers are complete, they're going to be full of items, and I can tell you they are. I think I might have 2 drawers that are empty of 12, right? 4, 8, 12. Yeah, I can do math. I might have 2 that are empty, the rest are full. So when you open them, you're seeing the contents of the drawer versus the bottom of the drawer. So is it moot to actually decorate them? No, because it's fun, it's unexpected, it's pretty, it's a pop of color and a pop of pattern when you open those drawers. But that's what it is, it's a pop. It doesn't become what you see when you open the drawer per se, if that makes any sense at all. Please let me know downstairs if that makes sense, or if it doesn't make sense, I'll try to explain it in a different way. But on these smaller pieces of paper, these smaller cardstock pattern paper from the small pad, the measuring was just a little bit different than the overall 8 by 11. That's why, or 8.5 by 11. That's why I showed this one, just to show it was just a little bit different. But the process is the same. I'm laying down the Mod Podge, then the paper, then Mod Podge over the top. And there are several of the drawers, and so now I have to take the hardware off all the knobs. So I do that for all 12. I only show a couple of them, but I do it for all 12, and I set them aside, and definitely use a dish, or if you're like me, you will lose all your bits and bobs. So I took my T-square ruler and I measured off my drawer front, and I put a mark on there with a Sharpie, and that showed me the middle of my drawer, and then I just eyeballed it in terms of the height where the middle is. So I used my little pokey tool from Stampin' Up! To poke my hole. I used it as a makeshift drill, or awl. I guess awl would be more accurate term. But I put a hole in all 12 drawers in this way, and it turned out okay. Like, I didn't make an actual jig, I just used that measurement, and it turned out okay. So then I just use a little bit of force, a little bit of elbow grease to kind of push and pull and twist to get these drawer pulls through that little hole, because of course the hole is much smaller than the actual screw on the drawer pull. So I got it through, then I add the hardware. There's a little plastic rubber piece, and that helps to distribute the weight when you're pulling, or the pressure, I guess, when you're pulling the drawer open. So the rubber stopper, I'll call it, and then a washer, and then a nut, and that holds it all together. Now I did not cut down the screw bolt, I don't know what to call that, anyway, that peg piece, the screw. And I decided that it works kind of as a paperweight for items that are in the drawer, and I like that. It holds things down so that the drawers will open and close without things getting stuck. And also, if in the future I decide that I want to use these pulls for a different project, then I can. And they're not messed up. They're not altered in any way. So this is just 2 of the units, but you can see how that pattern repeats from the top unit to the bottom unit. And it's just really cute. Like, you pull it open, and that lining on the inside is unexpected. I mean, obviously we expect it because we saw me do it, but if you were opening someone else's drawer and you saw something fun like that, that would be just a happy surprise. For me, even watching it now, even though I've been in and out of them 100 times already, it just makes my heart happy to see that. I think it's cute. What do you guys think? Do you like this project? Is this something you think you might do in your craft space? Do you have trouble organizing like I do? Like, the bits and bobs, the small pieces, the word die cuts, the leftover pieces, those drive me crazy. I have them everywhere. But this is really helping me to contain that. This is the current configuration that I have. It's a little, so my table is saggy, it's wonky, and yeah, so I need to change that. But again, this is what I started with. Not bad. I mean, white goes with everything. That was partly why I bought them. But this is what I have, and I'm really happy with them. But again, you can kind of see how it's sagging from the weight of those things on top. I've got the router and a lamp and my laminator. I need to move those. But this is it, guys. This was my craft room storage redo, before, after, and in between. Let me know downstairs what you think. Again, I apologize for the audio, and thanks for spending some time with me, guys. This is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. I'm out.